The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, morrismedialive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Good morning. Welcome to Morris Media Studios, Next Level Convo, live with Brenda and Khadijah. Hi, how are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great, blessed. You know, it's Friday, so that's awesome. And yeah, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm happy to be back because I've been missing in action for a couple weeks. Had some things that, I had to take care of. Spend quality time with my granddaughter. So I really appreciate that. I had the opportunity to spend time around her and have that bond. And it was just she and I. So we really had a great time. Okay. I think we spent all our spending money in one day. She's like, Mama. And so we spent all the money in one day, right? So then she says, Mama, well, I have $50 upstairs if we need more money. I was like, okay, baby. I like a team player, okay? I might knock off another 50 just because she is a team player, okay? That's so important. But I wound up having a really wonderful time with my granddaughter. And then you and I, we took a road trip last week. That was quite interesting. We went to Arkansas to see my youngest son play football, and we drove. Well, did I say we drove? Well, I was going to drive. And then my daughter was like, okay, Mom, after maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, she was like, Mom, pull over. I was like, I could do it. I could drive. I drive all around the city. She was like, pull over. So I wound up pulling over and she took the wheel and we pushed it. And we wound up having a really terrific time out in Arkansas watching my youngest son. And they won, so that was more exciting than anything.
Yes, it was very excited to see him and spend some time with him. He actually has a game tomorrow, so good luck, ready. Let's go ahead and take home this W.
Because we want to flip that W into M's.
Yeah.
As little Sean would say. But I had a terrific time, and he was really happy to see us, and I was really happy to see him. And just being there, I know it was encouraging, and I'm just so happy that they won.
Yeah, I was able to support him. His family came out, so I know he was happy, being all the way in Arkansas by himself and having us come surprise him.
Right.
He was really, really happy. So that was fun.
And that was worth the whole trip, was just to see the expression on his face when he saw us. And so that was awesome. And we enjoyed ourselves. And so we did take the road trip. So it's been a couple weeks and I'm glad to be back. And I always open up after my morning greetings with something from Nipsey. And the reason why I do that is because when I first walked into his store on Crenshaw and I saw the marathon, truthfully and honestly, I was like, he named it the marathon? I couldn't understand. I was trying to put it together like the marathon. I didn't get it. But as time went by, I understand the marathon a whole lot better now, which is it's a continuation. It doesn't stop. and I believe to identify the marathon, not with the financial aspects of it, which is good and necessary, but I identify it with our culture and with us becoming more aware of what is necessary for our culture. And that's not to negate anybody else's culture, but it's just to say that take a special interest in my own culture. And I think that he opened up those doors, and he said one of the things he did say was the best thing that we can ever give to anybody is inspiration. And I find that to be so true because when I was at the game this last Saturday, they always expect my son to be the go-to guy. It's 2 yards to go after, let's get it or whatever. It's 31 or something like that. And I think it was one of those situations and he didn't make the play. And he felt so bad after the play. And he was on the sideline and, just off to himself and feeling like, he didn't complete his mission properly. And at that moment, I had the thought that, no, baby, the marathon continues. So I went down there and in some kind of way, he had given me this bracelet that says never give up. And he had given this to me. And so I made my way down to the field to where he was at. And I gave him this bracelet. And I told him, okay, you did not make that play. The game is still young. You have to not let anybody get in your head. You have to play your game. And you can't give up just because you didn't make one play. Look at all the great plays you have made. And so I've just inspired him. I felt like I inspired him to change his mentality of not being hard on yourself at this moment because it's not necessary. Go out there, don't give up, play your game, and do what you do. And just trust yourself. And after that, he did. And he got back into the game, and it was a success. I want to say that. And he made a touchdown. So, But I just want to say that inspiring someone is so important. And we have to do more of that as a culture, as a people, period. I mean, we're in a society where there's a lot of mix, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of different cultures mixing, and that's fine. But for the Black culture, I think it's important that we inspire each other every way we can, whenever we can. Always look for the best in each other because we can bring out the best in each other by just a few kind words. Now, I think that had I went down there and said, what's going on? What you doing? I mean, what happened? I would have fed into the energy that wasn't positive at that moment, but feeding into the positive energy and saying, okay, baby, just think about all the things you have done. I think that put in his mind like, okay, yeah, you know what? She's right. And on top of that, it just inspired him to know that he can because that's what you're here for. So saying all that to say inspiration and inspiring each other is extremely important. It is so easy for us to be negative, period.
Like you said, the game wasn't over yet. So as long as you stay focused, keep your head in the game or anything that you're doing, it's never too late to conquer whatever is in front of you.
No, it is really, truly, because I'm an older woman and I feel like my mission and my purpose, I'm just now stepping into it right now in my life. I feel like I'm just now stepping into what my purpose is. I mean, I had a purpose. I was a mother and all that, but I'm talking about my own personal purpose. Yeah. I really see that at this point I am, my mindset is different. And I think it has a lot to do with
That's just evolving.
Well, yeah, that's
time.
Yeah, well.
Circumstances.
Yeah. Well, life is about that.
Lessons.
Life is about transformation, growth, developing, and becoming. I believe that. But when you get a certain age, it's kind of like, yeah, at what, 20-something, it's all open, it's all open. But when you start passing 40 and you're in the 50s, it start looking a little bit different and those thoughts start changing. But as long as they change for a positive, then it's good. And that's my thing is that, okay, yeah, I am older now. I have had lessons and I do understand things a lot differently now. And I do look at them a lot differently. But I am more so in tune to that I have a purpose that's bigger than me. My own personal needs, my own personal wants, my own personal desires. Mm-hmm. Now the purpose is to spread that inspiration to others and to make sure that someone else is lifted up other than myself. Because I'm good for myself, as you know. I will make sure, I'll ask for it, do whatever for me. But when it starts coming to giving yourself to others, then that's a bigger purpose. And I think that's what NIP was about, that bigger purpose. I was watching on the internet and scrolling because I'm a part of a group that just refused to let them go. And they had
Which is nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Because he deserves to be honored in every way.
Exactly. And that's how I feel about that. But it was a picture of Nip on the, the MTA, which is the bus line. He's on the bus, sitting on the back of the bus, just riding through different neighborhoods with no fear, being fearless. Because if you have a background in which he had, you don't go to other neighborhoods just on GP. But there was this picture of him just riding on the back of the bus with all his stuff on and just rolling through these different neighborhoods. And I thought that was fearless. Because there's always that crazy person or that one that needs to prove themselves or that person that's trying to do something, but he was fearless. And with that right there, that just stuck in my heart that we have to be fearless moving through this society. We have to be fearless. We have to, what's that you always tell me? You rather die for something than just live for nothing?
Yeah.
You have to stand up for something. You have to believe in what you believe in.
Stand for something or fall for anything. Like you said, I think Nip just hit a moment where he realized his purpose. Like you said, it was bigger than me attacking another gang or another human or another black person. I think he realized it's more to life than what we're subject to in this neighborhood. And I think he realized that. And everybody realized that at different times.
Right.
And realized their purpose and, what they're here for. But I think he figured that out. And I think that was his mission.
Right, because I did hear him making a statement about, understanding that it's important that we do come together and that we do share that one purpose collectively. And he proved that. He showed that. So I was really, really, really happy about that. And I did see the other thing that I saw that I thought was really good was Snoop and Jay having a conversation about Nip. So that right there, I was like, okay. So he understood. Snoop and Jay really did say that, okay, this brother's the real one. He was a real one. And I enjoyed listening to that conversation, which was awesome. But in speaking, do you have anything to say? Any quotes or anything from Nip?
No, just like Nip said in his interview, I believe that he did with Big Boy, is that the only difference between him and anybody else that's going after what he's going through is that he never stopped or he never gave up. Okay. And that's just to keep pushing, keep fighting. We all have different goals and different dreams. And all those goals and dreams are possible if you just keep pushing for them, staying focused, being productive. Like you said, just don't give up. And if you put in that 10,000 hours or those 365 days of working towards what you want, it will happen. And sometimes we're working and we hit that midpoint. You're like, I've been doing this and nothing hasn't happened yet. That means you're getting closer and closer and closer. And you just have to keep fighting for it and stay focused.
Which is
10
true.
toes down.
When it's don't
fold.
Don't fold. Okay, the game will test you. Stay 10 toes down. That's awesome. But I also want to say the last thing on my Nip Corner this morning is that he spoke about ownership. And I saw this internet thing is really something, okay? And then once you on it, it just kind of leads you into different stories. But I did see this one thing that someone had posted, and it was said Gucci, Chanel, Fendi, and up under it, it had the marathon continues, and it had crossed out Gucci, Chanel, and Fendi, and had the marathon. And with that being said, it brought me to understand that we do have to be supportive of each other financially. We cannot just talk about this. We need to be about it. We need to say, where are the Black businesses and how do we support them? I think that's super important. And he also talked about owning the marathon. I'm talking about owning the marathon. And so that brought me to ownership, because I am a real estate agent. And I think it is so important that we understand ownership on different levels. And with the real estate, you can own a business, you can own property, you can own land. There are just so many things that we can do that we need to understand and know that we can do. And that's the most difficult part of my job as an agent, is to make sure that people really understand how important and valuable the land is. How important it is. We have to take it more seriously. We have to understand that what he's saying is absolutely correct. We have to have ownership. And whether it be into a business, whether it be into something, we have to own ourselves and our purpose first. Mm-hmm. I think that's part of it, just understanding our purpose and owning that. But the ownership of the real estate is so important, because as I move as an agent, there are other nationalities that completely get it, that are buying with without question and making major moves in the real estate.
And I think that's why it's important to incorporate that, as we grow up. So that's something that you're taught and you learn. So when you hit a certain point, you kind of are familiar with it and it's not new to you, or it's not something that's off the lane that you're off your chart that is so not realistic when it could be realistic. And I think for us, I'll say Black people, it seems like it's something that is set to be unrealistic for you. When
as a child or growing up,
or just in life, because at what point, when are we taught that, or when, if I wouldn't have known that if you weren't an agent, or if I didn't go become an agent, So for some people, that might not be something that ever crossed their path, so that they have the information, so they just feel like, I can't do it, or I don't know. And it's not that you can't do it, it's just that they really just don't know. And I think it's important, why isn't that a class that's taught, or why isn't that something even in the school system, because that's just information that they wouldn't want most people to know. Right. I feel like,
No, that's true. It's just like, also, I mean, we have economics and we have certain things that we do take as you go through the college system, but there should be a class on credit. There should be a class on making sure that understanding what property is and the value of it. And I'm in agreement with that. And that was one of the things that the brother instilled into a lot of people that I've been hearing, because I am a part of a group and the chat is nonstop about him and the things that he's done and the quotes and books and all this and that. But one of the things that I've realized the most talked about topic is ownership through the group. And I think that is one of the gifts that he gave, is for people to open up their minds to understand the importance of it. And as an agent, you're constantly trying to push it. And most people may think that you're pushing it because you want a commission. But the reality is you're pushing it because it's something that can change lives, generation, and creates a legacy. When people leave their properties to their children, they leave it to them because it's showing, look, we worked to get this. Now you have a start. So now let you do something, take this, acquire it, and add to it. And we have to learn and understand how to do that. And it is important, because I didn't have the lesson.
Yeah. And it's multiple steps in owning your property and really owning your property. Because like you just said, when you could pass it on. I recently just had a friend whose father passed, and, she's the oldest child. So, things are in her hands, but it's going to probate because he didn't have certain things in line. And you think that you own a home, and then once you pass, it automatically goes to your family, which it does, but the duration of how long it takes so that they do become full, the family does get full ownership, that's a process that could be eliminated, because now the courts are in it. It's a third party. They're in control of what happens. Now they're getting paid from the estate, depending on how long it could take and how much the estate is worth. It's ways to avoid that. So it's just so many different crucial aspects into owning it and knowing the steps, that now they're in probate court. And now she's kind of like, I don't really know what to do. I'm thinking it just goes directly to me. And now that's not the case. So it is aspects. And I think that's why it's important for us to really get out there, learn, get the information, do research, ask questions, and we have to figure it out. We have to do what we need to do to know the information and properly know the information. So for someone like her, what would have been the best thing for her father to do is have a living trust and fund that living trust with the property, and stating that he's giving the property to this person or that person, or he wants them to share it, or whatever the case is, so that it doesn't go to probate. But now that it's in probate, it's a battle over who is it really going to, who has it, and now it's in the court's hand, and, now she's someone who doesn't really know that information. And, now it's just stressful. Now you have to deal with the passing of your father and deal with trying to go to court and make sure the house is okay for your little brothers and sisters. Now it's just a lot of drama, and it's just.
But that's a lack of knowledge. And that means that we have to get better with receiving information. Mm-hmm. But the thing about us too is that you can give these classes free. You can tell your people to come, and it's still. They'd rather go to a concert than come and get informed, or they'd rather do something else than to come and get informed in things that can really change and help their lives. And that's the part that's disturbing to me, is that here we are offering this information, and you still, you have to twist the arm or really go hard to get people to come out to get it, because they don't really need it until you're affected by it. That's with anything. Yeah. We don't go hard until we're personally affected by it. That's instead of understanding. True. And I think part of what you said in regards to it being taught, it should be. But as they deindustrialize the schools many years ago, any hope of anything extra was wiped out with that, because you used to be able to come out, not going into another subject, but just want to make a point. When I was in high school, people used to be able to come out of high school and be LVNs, be electricians, be carpenters, be, just just had a future. If you were not going to go to college, then these were trades that you could use to generate capital. But all that was taken out of the schools because they wanted to deindustrialize them to keep you down and make it a little bit harder, because I think African American people were coming out and being experts in these trades and really killing the game. And so they said, okay, stop, hope. That's too much. They got too much money to play with now. How can we how can we stop that? And so they took all those programs out of the schools. And so with that being said, it would be difficult for them to put a credit program in, or to put what is real estate ownership.
Because then that's setting up everyone for some form of success. And, not saying that everybody's against you, but
I know at some point
things are set up to not benefit
it's
you.
Systemizing. It's a systematic demise.
So you have to have some will to want to learn and do some research on your own. You have to.
And that's very hard. People don't really understand. It seems like that's really simple, and it should be. But on our road trip, I had an opportunity to read the narrative of Frederick Douglass. I had already read the story multiple times, but it was just a little narrative book, and it was so interesting and still informative, and it still brought up all the things that we're still facing today. That was totally unbelievable, the things that had happened to him. But I want to speak on this one little incident in the story, that he was planning this escape from the owners. Had the escape down packed. It was going down. The day of weeks building up to the escape, there's excitement going on, there's fear going on, there's all these different emotions, but they're still moving forward as a collective group. He had started teaching the other people that were held hostage. I don't even want to use the word slave. I just want to say they were held hostages. He started teaching them how to read and write. And so people were, they were ready to go. The morning of the escape, two of the brothers told what was happening. So, of course, it didn't take place. And they took him as a ringleader and the other two brothers off to jail and did this whole beat thing. And so he had been hired out as a, what I call him, instead of a slave. He had been hired out. The owners had a right to hire out the slaves. And so he was hired out to this one mean person. And after he got beat so bad from trying to do the escape, he put him back to work like really soon, the next couple of days. And so he's out there working, trying to work hard in the sun, and he fell out. So he kind of drug himself up under this tree. And the guy wanted him to just get up and start working when he really couldn't, because he had already been beaten half to death. So he gave him two good lunge kicks in the gut and busting him upside his head with a 2x4 until blood was running everywhere. So at this point, Frederick Douglass was like, I can't take this no more. I got to go back to the person that hired me out. So he's trying to get back to the person, all disarrayed, discombobulated, walking through the woods with no shoes on. Just by the time he got to the person hired him, he was just done. And the person, his true person that owned him, that he went back to, he asked him, well, what did you do? You had to do something. Like, really? You didn't do anything. My thoughts by reading the book. But anyway, so he said nothing. But my point in the story was that no matter how bad they were beaten and bruised and all this, he still triumphed. He still moved forward. He was still able to live through that and become a magnificent writer, author, and a whole bunch of other things. But here was the Black people that totally turned him in. So the mentality, I said all that to go back to our mindset. And even though that was 400 years ago, we are still suffering from that mindset of thinking that the white ice is better, it's colder. It's not. But until we can come together collectively, and I think that's the problem, how do you come together collectively with all these different things going on in our society to make a major move, to do something different that can help educate our children? We can't depend on the school system to say, bringing it all full force back to educating them about credit, educating them about real estate, educating them about finance. How do you diversify your money? We have to take responsibility as the people who know better. We all have to do better. And we have to make sure that if it's just taking 5 of our children at the age of 7, 8, and 9 and start talking to them about credit and talking to them about real estate ownership and putting these thoughts in their mind with our own grandchildren and our neighbors or nieces and nephews or whatever it is, we have to take responsibility for the development of our people and for the change that has to come. It has to come. It's 400 years since slavery, and we are still dealing with the same things that Frederick Douglass talked about in that book, and that is completely, it's very devastating. Very devastating that we're still dealing with injustice in the legal system. I mean, he made it to the North, but he went through hell to get there. And for us not to appreciate what that brother went through, and a whole gang of untalked about brothers and sisters that did this travel for us, and then we're here and we are not embracing the opportunities that lie in front of us the way we should. You know, I don't know how to claim it. I don't even want to say it's sad. It's just disturbing that we're not understanding what we need to do. It's very disturbing as a people, from ownership to reprogramming ourselves and our children, because something is not right. My soul is not rested. My spirit is disturbed. And especially after reading that book, I was like, oh my God. And we were down south too. I'm like, oh my God, OMG. But
she would choose to read Frederick Douglass on the way down south. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it's that, you know, that story is, but you, like you said, so many other stories like that that haven't
untold,
been told.
that are untold. And that's, and we have to understand our history. And when I say understand our history, I don't mean read it and just, oh yeah. I ran into 2 young brothers yesterday.
Before you get to that point, I did want to just touch on understanding our history. And I think that's the problem, because sometimes I feel like we don't have any history to attach ourselves to. Like most, you know.
Other nationalities.
Yeah.
No,
like
we do. We have it. It's been hidden.
We don't know it.
Yes. It's been hidden. It's been erased.
It's like they've been taught this tradition, other nationalities. They've been taught how things go. And for us, is like you said, it's been hidden. It's a blur. We don't know it. We don't really know where we come from. We don't really know our traditions of, you know, how we do things. We just adapted to American tradition, which is Christmas, Thanksgiving, all these different things, but we don't really have anything that's really ours. And I think it's important for us to create that, build that, and learn it. But it's hard when you don't have anything to attach yourself to. So I think that's why it's so easy for us to get lost and distracted.
Right. And then for as you said, it's our parents who didn't know. And then now we, with my generation, I mean, you know, I started getting hip to it, but not as thoroughly as it needed to be for your generation. But now you guys are a younger generation and you have more access to so much information at the touch of a finger. Now, some of the information regarding African American people, Black people, however you want to call it, have been diluted, have been wiped out, taken away. But there are still things there that can link us and tie us to our history. But are we willing to accept it after we've been Americanized for 400 years now? No, you know, we want to come out with a little short afros and we want to put the bones in the nose and do, you know, respect our history. For real. I'm not kidding. I'm serious. Are we willing to do that? You know, I mean, I don't even want to wear natural. But that don't mean I don't want to know my history, because I do, because it's beautiful, it's rich, and it's so much information. You know, there's someone in my life that just studies history, and I enjoy having a conversation with that person because there's so much that we were not told and that we don't know. And it's now all these different issues. How do you incorporate that, learning your history, into trying to survive every day? Yeah. Well, no, I'm just saying, like, how do we know that? We're trying to get by every day until we reach that point where we're super comfortable financially and we can have the time to go and dig and search. By that time, you know, come on. But we need to do better, and we need to try it. And I think for me, I was going to make this point. I had ran into 2 young African-American gentlemen yesterday, and one of them came out. He didn't have a shirt on. He had the little slide shoes on, and the other one had the little, just pants sagging to. It was so sagging in the so much until I could see the front part of his body imprint where his pants belong. So that made me say something to him. I said, excuse me, good morning. They were very polite and very receptive. I'm like, oh my God, Brenda, you're stepping over your boundaries. And maybe I need to stay in my lane. But at the same time, I could not just walk past them brothers and not say something. I asked them how old they were. I asked them what were their goals and aspirations in this life. And what then, made it comfortable enough for me to ask, why would you come outside without a shirt on? Why?
You were at a public establishment?
We were in the parking lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was a public situation. But, I mean, just what would make you come out of the house without a shirt on and your pants are hanging so low I could see the front of your body parts?
I would assume no home training.
I asked them, I wanted to know. So I asked them, like, why would you do this? I said, I can see your back part. I can see your front part. Tell me what part of that do you think is attractive? Tell me something about your history. Do you know anything about
what was his cause of?
He said, I just woke up and I just want to come outside. That's exactly what he said. I said, so you just woke up and want to come outside and this is the way you want to come outside and present yourself? And he said, well, I didn't think it was anything wrong with it. I said, okay, young man, I respect the fact that you didn't think there was anything wrong with it. But as an older woman, let me tell you what I see. I see a young African-American male outside with no shirt on and his pants hanging below body parts. That is not attractive. And it also can be alarming it could be a trigger for you to get pulled over, for them just to stop you, mess with you, do anything, because it looks, it just does not look presentable. And what is it that you want to do with your life? He was like 16. He said he wanted to go to the military. I said, the same officers that pull you over, they will pull you over. And now you're saying you want to go represent this country, but they won't see that you're trying to represent this country by the way that you look right now. And I'm not being offensive. It's just a concerned citizen, a concerned mother that this look is not, it's not a good look. And so they were receptive. And he was like, thank you, ma'am. Okay, I'm not going to do this no more. I'm not going to come out like this. So they were really good, and I just wanted to touch base.
Something out of that.
Yes. And he said, I really didn't look at it like that. I just thought that I wanted to be out, and I just came out, and
he didn't see no wrong, no home training. No one ever told him, "Hey, that's unacceptable."
Yeah. So,
I remember when I was younger, I came outside with a scarf on my hand. You're like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "Oh, I don't know where I was going at the time." And you were like, that is not the way you come outside. You never come outside with a scarf on your head. You never come outside. I mean, unless it's like a stylish scarf, because they do have stylish scarf, but definitely what I was wearing was not a stylish scarf. It's a head wrap, which I sleep in. And she was just like, you do not go outside with your hair wrapped like that, and you do not go outside with house shoes and pajamas on. And since that day, I've never did that again. Right. So if, someone don't tell you something is wrong, sometimes you might just think it's okay and it's acceptable. Prime example for the young gentleman that you met. But
I just wanted to say that I had an opportunity to teach one person yesterday, and I was so happy that he was not offended or he didn't become aggressive with me or cuss me out or any of that. No, because those are my thoughts, because it took me a minute to address them.
You weren't sure. You're like, how do I approach this situation?
It took me a minute, because I'm like, okay, do I just keep pushing or do I say something? But it was so annoying to me. When I saw the body part, I was like, this is it. No. So then I took a chance,
but you approached it the proper way, and you just spoke to him, and you just gave him some advice. Now, whether he do it again or not, but at least someone in his life has told him that it's unacceptable, and you're not representing yourself the best way that you can. Exactly.
And that was my whole thing. And so I was happy to say, but we all have to, each one teach one. We don't have to give out a whole sermon, because I'm a sermon mama, but everyone does not have to do that, but we have to show love. And I think that was one of the things that I got from Nipsey is to show unconditional love. And that's very hard, because we are judgmental instantly. Because the minute I saw the guy, I had two thoughts. Really, I did. Honestly, one thought is he a real thug? And the other was, oh my God. And they weren't positive thoughts. So I had to reframe my mind at that moment and say, no, Brenda, don't think like that. You have to just reach out, but.
So we have to unlearn and relearn and
love train, each other.
Yeah. Train our mind. Cause like you said, it's easy to be negative. It's easy to think negative. It's a lot harder to say something positive and be positive, especially in a situation where you're feeling some type of way about what you're seeing or, how someone may look.
Exactly. And so that's the unconditional love. that we have to be able to give to each other, and we have to be able to share, because we definitely have to improve our relations with each other in order for us to make a change. And a change is necessary. It's 400 years, you guys. Enough is enough. We have to do something different. And that's why ownership is important on every level. And from us teaching it to our youth, and from us trying to give it to an adult. I have this one client that, just good to go, but so scared to purchase. Absolutely good to go. Have good credit, has a good situation, and is just fearful. Where you can be in a better situation that can reap you more financial gain if you make a move. But because our mindsets, we're so blocked in fear, he's like, okay, I'm going to think about it. I'm not sure. Okay, wait a minute. It's like, okay, I'm going to be patient. I understand where you're coming from. I didn't tell him that I understood it.
This is something he's just not used to. Even the thought of probably being able to even be in that situation.
Right, that part, because he was very surprised at what I told him, how I explained that his outcome could be.
Yeah.
And he didn't believe it. He was like, no, that. I'm like, yeah, no, it's true. It's really true. But it's just giving out the information is what I really want to say, is that for it to be received in a positive, progressive, productive manner is what I really want for my people to understand, the importance of ownership and what you could really do with it and what it really can do for you, and how you can diversify your capital through ownership. It doesn't necessarily mean, okay, one scenario is you buy a condo if you're not really at that point where you can just purchase a $500,000 house or $1 million home, which is not that much in California. But you purchase a condo, you hold on to it for a couple of years, maybe 3 years, you pull the equity out of it, and you use that as a down payment for another piece of property. That's one way. But also you can take that same equity and put it into a particular fund, and you could diversify your money like that and let it grow. And then you can live off the interest of the money that it's earning and your financial hedge.
And like you said, after a few years, you take that equity out and put it into another property. Now you have that second property paying for the first property.
No, absolutely.
There's so many different options, so many different things that you could do, so many different ways you could generate money.
Right. And that's one of the things, I've been meeting with the financial advisor, even though I'm smart and witty and I have it going on in my own right, I still feel that information is so important, and because it consistently changes, then you need to be abreast of what's happening. And to be able to diversify your money, there are multiple ways to do that. And we have to start looking more into that, and we have to have information, making sure that our children and our youth have information to understand how economics really work globally. How does it affect us? We have to make a change and do things differently, because if we don't, then we're going to still be in the same situation that we're in, which is not good. It's good to some people. Some people
just
are
majority. The mass majority is not doing so well.
Right. But it's up to people who have knowledge and information to change things and to give that knowledge out. And I cannot say that enough. And I will continually repeat that, because I'm hoping that one smart person is listening and they will feel in their heart to share something with someone else that can bring them a profit and gain. And everything is not about money. Profit and gain is also through knowledge, just understanding, because information is powerful. It gives you the option, the opportunity, the choice to make a decision. The more knowledge we have on real estate, the more knowledge we have on economic growth, the more knowledge we have on diversifying our money.
Just knowledge, period. You can make better choices for your life.
And that's what I want, and that's what we need. We need to be able to make better choices. And I really think that's one of the things that Nip did. And I think when he came back from Africa, it made a big change in his life, and he started seeing things differently. But I think we all need to see things a little bit differently. And I think that it's important for you and myself and anybody else that have any type of knowledge to share it.
Definitely.
So what's our steamy topics for today? Do you have any steamy topics? I call my steamy topics is like hot topics on any other show. Yeah, what's trending out here? So we'll move over to that.
Okay, so a few things. They did announce the Super Bowl, who's going to be performing. Now, they didn't give too much information, but J-Lo did post that her and Shakira will be doing the Super Bowl halftime show, which I was wondering, is this something that Jay-Z was a part of? Because, he was coming on board this was supposed to be one of the aspects. So we're not really sure. They didn't give too many details, but they did drop that they will be performing. So what do you think of that? J-Lo and Shakira performing on halftime.
Two sexy hot chicks. Two sexy hot chicks that are older but still have it. Yeah. Because actually I just saw J-Lo in the Hustler movie. Oh, man. She killed it from the neck down. She was not playing with it, okay? Mm-hmm. That body was snatched, and she was doing her thing. Yeah. She worked the pole like she was a real stripper. I was like,
she was just in the Versace fashion show, and she wore a spin off her dress that she wore like in 2002. And
okay, the opening,
accentuated her body
right.
very well. So she definitely is in shape and looking good at her age.
No, she definitely, I saw her in the Hustler movie, and I was like, at first when it came on, she was the first one that you saw working the pole, and I was like, who is that? And then when I saw it was her, I was like, oh my God, I just needed to clap, because just for her to be that old, and to really still showing you that you can healthy, still look good, you can still be, your body could still be snatched. But of course, she has enough money to make it happen no matter what, naturally. Yeah. Now, just because you have money, it does not mean that you have to have surgery and all that, but just good trainers, good nutrition, all those things are important.
She was in place to be able to get the information to what
and apply it. Yeah. And seriously, to take that money and utilize it in a way that can help you without doing all the plastic surgery. I'm not saying she did or she didn't, but it didn't look like she did it. I have never heard of her having it, but I'm saying her body was nice. And Shakira, I saw her, I remember her in the video with Beyonce, and she is something else. She can work that body too. So that's going to be hot, steamy, and sexy. I don't think it'll be a political message. I think it's going to be more of,
I think it's just to draw in audience, get the Super Bowl ratings back up. Of course, that's what the halftime show is for. They usually put people in place that have some influence, and I think that's what they did.
They need more marketing. Really? As much money as they make, they need more marketing? No, but I understand what you're saying.
Ratings.
No, the ratings are up. And just to talk about, since we are on that, I was reading an article about them deciding to create a law where the college players could get paid.
Yeah, I definitely think that should be true. Honestly, I think after high school, no matter what level, is D1, D2, junior college, they should be playing, because it's just like you're really dedicating your life to this physical sport, and something can happen at any moment and you are not protected as a player. Right. So I think that would be really, really great. And it kind of sucks that it's happening so late. Football's been around for how long, and how many athletes.
But the change is necessary, and at least if it is changing, that's the next step for the future generation, which will be good. They can benefit from that, because half of the athletes, I think they said, the percentage in the NFL is 70% African American. So that means that there's more coming, and so those guys that are coming will have the opportunity.
And those D1 colleges make a lot of money.
D2s too, all of them.
Yeah, all of them make a lot of money. So I think it's a good move in the right direction, but we have to start doing this a little sooner. I'm glad that it's happening, but we are always late on everything. I
don't think we're late. I think that was systematic.
Well, of course.
And now people are protesting and they're upset about it, so now they have to say something.
So we're finally coming together now. It's probably affecting someone close to you.
Right. Just what I said. Now that it's time to...
when it affects you close, it hits differently.
Totally. But the good thing about it is that the young guys that are coming up now will have that will be displayed for them. I'm not sure exactly what the law is at this point, if it's state to state, if it was just passed in California, but as this movement moves, we'll get more information and be able to share that. But just the thought of it, them being able to be paid for that, it's phenomenal to me. And that's just, as that movement happened, every other movement needs to happen just like that.
And I think it's a good idea that the athletes will be able to take a little more control back into their hands, because they're really just pawns, I feel like, in this game. And they play a big part. So I think they should have a little more,
control,
advantages.
More money. They should have money, because they should not be in college and be hungry. And if you don't have money to send your child in college to eat, then it's a problem. I remember when Carell was in junior college and he lived, they had an apartment, and some of the guys were living with him, and I would go by and do the clean and say what's going on or whatever. Some of the guys would eat noodles like straight, 5 days straight. Like, and that's an unhealthy product to put in your body to try to run off of and play off of. But really, they were really eating noodles, because I went in, I'm like, Correll, whose noodles are these? Like, you know, and he was just like, Mom, it's my roommate's noodles.
Eating didn't make it. So that's, again, they're putting their body, everything
food. They need
on
to
the line.
Take care of it.
For not something that's not even guaranteed. So
right.
I think
so
that's a good
So I think that's a good thing. Just from that perspective alone, that they would have proper meals. Now, if you go to a Bosco or you go to an Arizona State, or, you know, to major schools where they really provide good food for you, that's different.
It's a little better, but I think it's all still a struggle.
Yeah, it is.
You know, you're out there on your own. You're trying to make it. And usually what they do is they give you a certain amount of credit that you could eat on. So it's
on the meal plan.
Yeah, you know, so it's
and then the cafeteria food is not going to be what you really want to eat. We understand that. You know, I'm thank God we'll have sisters and brothers.
Yeah, it's a struggle. But even speaking on the NFL, it's a lot of circulation with accusations for Antonio Brown, who was signed. I know is here. You know, once you hear that first accusation, the next you know is just things just start falling apart. But he was signed with the Raiders. He actually asked to be released from his contract, and then they released him. He signed to the Patriots within not even 2 weeks. I think he was there for like 11 days. Then the Raiders come out and have accusations against him, saying that, you know, some sexual conduct with a former trainer that was from the Raiders. And, you know,
maybe that's a ploy or plot because they're mad because he went to the Patriots.
It could be. But my thing is, he was with you guys prior to this for how long? If these accusations were true, they could have came out. You know, once that he got released, then they came out. And then, you know, he lost his Nike endorsement because of the accusations. And then right after that, he only been with the Patriots for 11 days. And then they end up cutting him. And he's kind of having that battle where he was supposed to be guaranteed a certain amount of money. So he's like, you guys just can't do what you want and just cut me based off this. So
okay, so here's the thing with that, with the accusations of people being able to accuse someone of something, and then it affects their whole life.
He's not even, it's an accusation.
He ran his mouth. There's some text messages that went down. So there's proof. That was just like, but here's the thing about the accusations.
But that needs to be put out more.
Well, obviously it is.
Light.
It is. He had text messages saying what, Po? They coughing. He had text messages saying that he.
Oh yeah, a second accuser did come out.
Okay, so but did he admit to doing anything that was not appropriate in the text messages, or was he just angry because of the fact that they said that to him?
The text messages were very vulgar.
Right, but I'm saying, okay,
yeah, he was like, "'Cause I skeeted on your back." Like, he was saying stuff like that.
Oh, that meant she was involved too, then.
Well, my thing is, she came back 3 times. Like, she, even after the first assault, alleged assault, she was back with him a few other times, and then there were pictures posted of them,
videos,
sort of intimate.
Yeah,
but I think what got him in trouble was there was a second accuser that came out.
Yep, that's true. A second accuser did come out.
And he posted pictures of her and her kids in a threatening manner. And so that, on top of the accusations, the team had enough.
Yeah, okay, so there it is. Okay, I got that.
But again, it still has to go to court. It still needs to be proven. He still needs to be found guilty.
Yeah, I think it still needs to be proved. Yeah. But in the meantime, keep your mouth shut and don't be threatening your accuser.
Right, no, there it is right there.
Yeah,
and your emotions you have to have under check. And the other thing that I don't understand is, where is your team? Where's your attorneys? Where are the people that are supposed to represent you at this level of the game when something comes up? But here again, the one thing that Poe just said that was absolutely undeniable: you're talking too much. You're saying too many things. And I don't care if you are mad.
You have too much to lose at this point. You have to know when you're in that position, you can't just do something that someone regular might do. You are under a microscope. And everything you say and do will be used against you.
Right. And the other thing about that, in a court of law, stop it. But here's the other thing too, is that I believe that the NFL players, the new ones coming into the game, there needs to be classes. I'm not saying that there's not, but I would love to be the person to to interact or interject into their careers a class on how to conduct yourself, the do's and the don'ts. How do we keep getting caught up over the same stuff over and over when previous people have done this?
It's another player that just got arrested for supposedly having sexual misconduct with a 13-year-old.
Now that right there is really weird. So that's completely
it's
different.
Not funny. I'm not laughing.
No, we're not laughing at that, but that's really, really weird. And that right there that's outlandish. You don't do a 13-year. You're too old for that, and you know better.
And you're in this.
Well, you can any girls.
That's just a whole different story.
That's another topic.
Yeah, but Antonio Brown, though, you've been in this game for a long time.
And here's the thing. Not understanding what your position is and who you are, knowing who you are on purpose. You know that you're this guy and you could get this and you can have that. But these are the consequences that will happen to a major figure when
thinking
you do.
That you could do and say anything.
And that's going to pull me over.
Because even if the accusations aren't true,
you still made it look bad.
You're building a case against yourself.
By just your actions. Yeah. But no, not your actions, your words.
Yeah.
By your words. But
nobody's perfect. Things do happen and you can't but again, you are in this big spotlight, so it comes with more. It comes with the responsibility.
It comes with more knowledge.
Yeah.
How in the world are these players being able to make all this money? And before you get this first check, you need a class, and y'all need and be tested on what you learn because they have to. There's something has to change with that too.
Well, one good thing that came out of it is that he enrolled back in school, so maybe that might help him educate himself. Get some more knowledge. Things that he didn't see, but that's the one good thing since he got dropped from the team, the Patriots. He did enroll back into college.
2 thumbs up for that. Okay, he can afford to pay the bill at this point, so there won't be a college debt. But my thing is for him to enroll in a self-management class or understand some things. And the NFL players, the NBA players, all sports figures need to be in a class where they understand how to handle themselves in public, how to handle yourselves with the temptation of women, how to handle yourself. Rappers, everybody, they all need classes because this is ridiculous.
But again, this is just the way the system is set up so that you are put in these situations and predicaments. And if you don't have the right information or you don't know the certain way protocol that you should move or what you should do and say, that you become in these situations. Because majority of the time, again, let's be real, they don't want to see you succeed. Like you said, was the most NFL football players or whatever go broke? Why is it? We know those stats, but what has been done to change that?
Well, that's part of the class and the training. Exactly. I think they need proper handling of people class, and I think they need a financial guidance. Overall, you get your own financial person, but overall coming into we need you to understand that once you make this money, it can go fast. Yeah. Just some type of information.
Hopefully he could learn something from this, and I really hope the accusations are not true, but hopefully the truth comes out, so hopefully we'll be able to watch that story and see what happens to him over this.
Awesome. And speaking on those terms, I like to flip this over into, which I very rarely talk about Trump, but I did want to say that I was scoping through the news this week, and I understand that Nancy Pelosi has opened up. First, it was an impeachment inquiry. Now, I read this morning that they are starting the impeachment process, which is impeaching him out of office, and I'm like, whoa, but that's talking too much. Like Antonio Brown, just a different level. Trump, you're talking too much. And I think a lot of it, they were really fussing at her about not doing impeachment inquiry or process earlier because he was saying so many things. But she was looking for something that was solid that she can make a move on. Mm-hmm. And he gave her that through running his mouth, through talking.
He definitely has Twitter fingers.
Yes, and you're saying too many things that, this is my thing about him. He said a lot of things that totally was offensive, especially what he said about, what was her name? Omarosa. Omarosa, yes. Omarosa. He called her a dog. Right there, that was the it for me. Like, you're calling her a really bad.
We understand you have the freedom of speech, but again, the position that you're in comes with responsibilities, and you have a whole nation watching you. So what type of behavior do you want to teach to the youth and everybody around the world? So I do think he should be held accountable for some things, and there should be some things that should be off limit if you are the president. But absolutely. I think with him, he doesn't have any boundaries. There's
no filter.
Yeah, at all.
There's no anything. And I think he really put his foot in his mouth this last time. Now, he has done some things as president that, that is good.
Yeah. I think it's just the way you do go about it.
But because of your mouth and your Twitter fingers, it wipes out everything that you've done.
Yeah. You can't even focus on the good things that you are attempting to do because we can't get past your demeanor and how you present yourself.
And from the whole Make America Great statement, that was very offensive in a way because you're understanding. I think I heard T.I. at the Revolt Summit asking the young lady Owens, who is a strict Republican and she's battling. She will go up to bat for Donald Trump at all costs, and I understand that. That's your belief. But I want to say this, that he did say, at what point in history was America great?
And I think it's depending on the lens that you're looking from. It might not have been great for a certain group of people, but at some point in great, maybe coming from him and his family, it was a time period where it was great for them.
The one thing I wanted to hear out of more than anything from the Revolt Summit, which was really, really good, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to putting myself on that panel because that was somewhere where I felt like I needed to be. But the one thing I heard T.I. say that I really fell in love with was, what period of history was America great according to, I believe it's Candace Owens is her name? She could never answer that question. She avoided it. She dodged it. She never answered it. And that part is what I wanted to know. And like you said, yes, it could be great for like others. Yes, it could have been great for them. But in his Make America Great statement, I think we've had 252 mass shootings since January. And none of them were done by an African-American person or an Hispanic person or an Asian person or anybody other than a Caucasian person. And so that's very alarming that at some point you feeling comfortable for these mass shootings to take place. I'm talking about comfortability with the shooters coming out of the woods and doing it in their minds. What is triggering you to do this?
And that's a tough topic to talk about because you don't want nothing to happen to anybody, especially innocent people. And I think it created a lot of controversy on banning guns and this and that, which is kind of really hard to do because it's like, why should the nation be jeopardized by one person's bad action? Because now if that person come and I'm unprotected, how am I supposed to protect myself from a serial killer, like that? But I do think it maybe should be, more requirements or bigger background check on someone getting a gun.
I think you have a right to own a weapon.
Yeah, you do. That's the Second Amendment. No one can take that away from you. So that's why I say it makes it kind of hard to just say, well, because this Caucasian person was crazy enough to go kill all these innocent people, I don't have the right to protect myself and bear arms. I don't think so. No,
I don't think so. I think that we have a right to bear arms and we should be able to do that if you fit the qualifications to do that.
So that doesn't go ahead. I'm sorry.
That doesn't make you a mass murderer or that you want to go out and murder anybody. It's just for your own protection. I don't want anybody coming up in my joint with a gun on me and saying they're going to rob me or kill me or do whatever, at least without having a fighting chance for my own life.
Yeah. So with that being said, do you think Trump is going to be impeached?
Okay, so my first concern when I heard about the impeachment inquiry was that, inquiry was a word that really threw me off because that's just saying we're looking into it. Mm-hmm. And he has been so slick and so manipulative with everything he has done until I first thought that, oh my God, he's going to maneuver his way out of this. Yeah. There's no way. He has so much money, he's going to buy his way out. And, those were my first true thoughts. But then when I woke up this morning and I said the impeachment process is starting, I'm saying, well, maybe it's a possibility. But then I started thinking, okay, so once they get him out, who's next? Pence? To take over from if that happens. Mm-hmm. But he is so crafty and so manipulating until I'm not sure if it's going to happen. I just think it should be impeachment on his mouth. Yeah. Like you need to just stop saying all these rude, disrespectful things to people. Talking about women. I was really upset when he...
I don't see that. I don't think that will change.
I was upset with the Omar situation, the young lady that he totally disrespected and told the other four ladies that they need to go back to their own country. I felt that was very disrespectful coming from a president. But just so many things are disrespectful about him. Mm-hmm. But his father was a member of the KKK. His grandfather was a owner of a bar of what they call whorehouses.
Brothel.
Yeah, brothels. That was my word I was looking for. But just break it down in simple terms. And his father evaded taxes and took land from people that he shouldn't have. So his history and his background was was not of what we would call a great one. Well, he might think it was great, but it's no way. One of the young ladies, I was speaking with a young lady of a Mexican descent, and she told me, well, just because his father was a KK member doesn't mean that would affect him. He was sent off to boarding schools. But my thought is, period, your environment in which you are raised in before you went to the boarding school, before, that happened, it still plays a part on your thought pattern. And I've never heard him stay up and deny his father and say what his dad did was wrong. Never said anything on that level. So therefore, you were raised around that type of mindset. And it's showing in your conversations as you speak about others, which I don't think he has a right to because his wife is an immigrant.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to just keep following him and see how this investigation or impeachment
plays out.
Yeah. I think we're going to have to see. I don't know who's more popular right now, him or 6ix9ine. I don't know who's more popular, him or 6ix9ine,
Yeah, I heard about that character.
Yeah, he's turned into a informant for the government.
Oh, my God, that's a snitch, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He testified a few days and, I think, I don't know. It's just.
How old is he?
It's like 21.
21. Okay.
I don't really know, actually. I know he's young, maybe 21, younger than that. He's pretty young, but I mean, hey, you make decisions no matter what age you are, you have to be faced with the consequences. And I don't think he's ready to be faced with any consequences of anything that he did or.
But that's lack of information, and that goes back to here we are again with not having enough information.
Well, for him, I feel like it was more just for clout, just to become popular, just to be seen a certain way, just to be affiliated. When you have not grown up in this life or you are not a part of gangbanging or all this stuff, why put on the front just to boost your career?
Well, the only thing I want to say about that is have it relevant to our conversation is the knowledge. Is even though he wanted to portray that, he didn't do the research on what that really meant and what would be the outcome of what a snitch is or putting all this stuff out there and now you have to be accountable for it. He didn't understand that.
Just real tricky. Cause
yes.
I'm thinking, was he a snitch, already working for the government prior to his rap career? Or because then they're dropping footage of when he supposedly got kidnapped and the footage is very up close as if someone was in the vicinity of the kidnapping.
Did he get
had
kidnapped?
a watch. I don't know if it was a part of it or if it was he really got a ploy or if it was a setup or they were all working together. It's kind of really hard to tell, but they did release some footage of him in the kidnapping because he did do an interview and say he was getting kidnapped, which just seemed like it was a joke and it wasn't really serious or he had something going on. But, who really knows? But they did release some footage with the kidnapping, the scene of the kidnapping. And it was just like, well, how did this tape get here? How did this wire get here? How did this happen? But I guess we'll just have to follow that story to see, what happened because it was pretty crazy. I
think if he had to I'm going to close out with saying that I think that had he been himself, because he became an unusual character, that would have been enough for him to do whatever he wanted to do.
Because people did like his sense of humor and, his craziness, but
he overdid it. But I want to say it's been such a pleasure. It was a great being back at Morris Media Studios live and Next Level Convo with Brenda
and Khadijah. Enjoy your weekend.
Enjoy your weekend.